Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me once again. Today, I am going to take a first look and page through Broken Tales from the World Anvil. This is written by Alberto Tranchi with artwork provided by Daniel Comirsi, and I do apologize. I'm pretty sure I've mispronounced at least one of those names. The 272-page hardcover carries an MSRP of $49.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG, currently for a special Halloween sale price of $11.40. That is a rocking deal. All that said, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Broken Tales from the World Anvil. The first thing we're going to do is get the shrink wrap off so we can get rid of all that glare. There we go. Should mention the fine folks over at the World Anvil were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage of Broken Tales with you. These days, it's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book, but I do want to give you a very good feel for what you're going to find inside. Now, there are some adventures inside the book for Broken Tales. So if you're a player and you're hoping your game master is going to pick this up, maybe they already have picked this up and just haven't run the adventures in it yet, I will recommend when we get to those adventures, tune out, because even though I know nothing about the adventures outside of them based on fairy tales, there are going to be some surprises. There are going to be some spoilers just simply from paging through. So let's take a look at the back here. Once upon a time, a child saved the world of fairy tales. His reward was a wish. The one who plots in the shadows saw an opportunity to tarnish the child's heart, whispering to him a corrupted idea. The child asked the king of fairy tales that the villains, accursed for centuries, be granted a new life. This was to be their chance for redemption. This was how the villains became good. But any light needs a shadow, and in turn, the heroes became evil. At that moment, all fairy tales were shattered. Broken Tales is a tabletop role playing game of dark stories, reinterpreting fairy tales from an upside down perspective. Players will become part of the Order, a secret group operating on behalf of the papacy to investigate supernatural events beyond human comprehension. Moving through an 18th century Europe imbued with mysticism and horror, the main characters of Broken Tales are nothing less than the former antagonists of fairy tales, thrown into a new world resulting from the wish of the child savior. In this book, you'll find all the rules you need to play. You'll also find 10 scenarios inspired by classic fairy tales, such as Red Riding Hood, The Three Little Pigs, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and other literary works such as The Wonderful Wizard of Oz and 1001 Nights. Very cool. This is right in tune with the Halloween season. I'll tell you that much. So I do understand that even though this is based on fairy tales, this is not necessarily a role playing game that is going to be aimed at the youngsters out there. So here we've got our credits page. Let's give all these fine folks credit where credit is due. We've got the fairy tale of the child savior. So we've got an introduction, rules for hunters, rules for the storyteller, some further details on game rules. We get into the storyteller's role. And then about 117 pages in, we'll get into the scenarios. Very cool. Artwork looks interesting right off the bat. As I mentioned, I'm going to be skipping some pages here. As far as production quality, nice paper weight. Everything looks nice and sharp. It's like sometimes we see that art punk look. It's kind of like, okay, so I'd like to be able to read this. Doesn't look to be a problem here. When the storyteller asks for a position or defense check, check if one of the hunter's descriptors can help them in the action being performed. If so, the hunter starts with 3 base successes. If no descriptor is relevant, only 1 base success is attained. It's possible to obtain additional successes, for example, as a result of a gift, or penalties to be subtracted from the total to modify the number of base successes. Once this is done, the number of successes is compared with the NPC's or threat's opposition level declared by the storyteller. There are 3 opposition levels: easy, 3, medium, 5, hard, 7. For an action to have a positive outcome, you must obtain a total number of successes given by the sum of base successes and additional successes that is at least equal to the opposition level. You can spend Sama, probably some sort of karma, to obtain 1 additional success for each point you spend. You can decide to roll 1 or more 6-sided dice. You gain 1 additional success for each die rolled. However, if even a single die rolls a 1, the entire check fails. All other results, 2 to 6, count as additional successes. Well, I'll tell you what, that is super easy mechanically, right? Okay, if you've got a descriptor which is going to help, then that's 3 successes. If not, you only have 1 success. And then you are looking at, you can spend this in game resource from your player character to get additional successes. And then you can roll as many 6-sided dice as you want, as long as you don't roll any ones. It's pretty wild. It's kind of cool. It's a little different. Handling the position checks. When a hunter performs any kind of action, the storyteller needs to decide if they want to ask for a check. Making the decision, it's vital to keep all relevant descriptors in mind. And then we have the defense check. This applies to any reaction in which the hunter is a passive party. For example, you're jumping from roof to roof, but the rain made the tiles slippery. So do a defense check against medium opposition level, which would be 5. Okay. Some further details on the game rules. A game of Broken Tales is structured as a conversation between all players, in which the storyteller presents fictional situations and the other players react with their hunter's choices. When the consequences of a hunter's choice are uncertain, the storyteller asks for a position check to determine the outcome. At this point, the hunter's action either succeeds or fails, and the conversation resumes. The storyteller narrates the action's result together with the hunter's player. Play continues until the next check, and so on through the session. Says the storyteller never performs checks on behalf of NPCs and threats. So it's always the players rolling dice. Okay. Now we're going to get into a little more of the nitty gritty about a position check and a defensive check, is my guess. Yep. Or defense check, I should say. My interest is piqued. So, equipment and possessions. Obviously enough, this is going to be more of a storytelling game as opposed to a crunchy tactical sort of role playing game. So, dark presences. So, these are the characters, it appears, or are these NPCs? Maybe it's, yeah, this must be an NPC because we have hunters. This is creating the NPCs and then giving us some examples of different NPCs. the Wild Swans gang. And it tells us what fairy tale it's inspired by. The Silent is inspired by the Little Mermaid. And then the Wise Fox. This is looking pretty cool. The King's Unlikely Tailor, inspired by the Emperor's New Clothes. So here we're looking at creating the player characters. So here's the Hunter's creation. Collect sources of inspiration. Tell the hunter's backstory and bring them to their breaking point. Detail the hunter as far as their descriptors. Creating gifts. Gifts are unique abilities that make the hunter special compared to ordinary humans. On a mechanical level, gifts are the player's way of defining the hunter's powers and abilities, which can significantly impact the narrative. So it says a descriptor, going back to the descriptors, must be written in the first person in the hunter's own words. To keep the descriptors consistent, start with one of the following active phrases: I know, I have something, I use something, I get something, I own something, I am something, I want, and I will be something. Is an example. I am a fearsome and merciless ship captain, and with my crew of criminals and smugglers, I have carried out 1,000 raids. I am always afraid of a mutiny, and that's why I don't trust others. Yeah. So it's Captain Hook. Cool. And of course, I will have a review of Broken Tales in the future. I doubt if I'm going to be able to get it done by Halloween. Sorry to say. Okay, so let's see. Where's this Sama? I think I just passed by. Maybe not. These are some of those gifts. So the Soma Sama, whatever, starts at 6 points, which can be reduced or increased in relation to the power of their gifts. Of course, I'm going to take a guess. There's a way to replenish that. When we get into our scenarios, talking about creating scenarios, and we will look at an example of a scenario too. Here's our world, Broken Europe. The fairy tale of the child savior. Okay, so here's one of the scenarios. Say, now I will point out this is not all that easy to read the black text on the red background. So that is probably not a presentation choice I would have made. I would have stuck to the white, just like so. So this is inspired by Little Red Riding Hood. So it's Red Hood Iskra. Get a bit of a background here. Here we get kind of the once upon a time. We even get soundtracks. That's kind of cool. You can use the code to download the soundtrack. And we get our different scenes. So this obviously is scene based. It looks like these are a few pages long too. So this is Of Flesh and Wood, inspired by Pinocchio. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, We're going to end up 14. Nope, 12. Kind of cool. A lot longer than I was expecting it to be. So we have The Smile in the Darkness based on The Little Match Girl. Okay. That's pretty wild. I wasn't expecting that. That's for certain. What else we got here? A Soldier's Duty. Okay. The Tin Soldier. Or the Steadfast Tin Soldier, to be exact. Alice in Wonderland. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. This is looking pretty wild. All right, so we'll just kind of get through these scenarios. And I'm kind of curious how it's going to wrap up. If we're just going to wrap up the book with the scenarios or if there's something else. This certainly looks like this would be really well suited for short, multi-session adventures, maybe even one-shots. Does look like we're getting some information here if you wanted to play this as a campaign. Now, to my knowledge, because this was something I was learning at Gamehole Con, is there is no redemption arc for these villains. I thought that was pretty interesting. I thought that was kind of cool. So this is a dark fairy tale role-playing game. So it looks like we've got our different sheets and thanking the backers. Oh, looks like we may have a bonus. Or is this just, oh, this is sort of our player age sheet here, or it's discussing what's on the player's character sheet. And we've got some examples of characters. Aha, there we go. So the wolf, the Pied Piper, the immortal. Pretty wild. George the Holy Dragon Slayer. Bluebeard. Nice. Very cool. All right. So that is a look inside Broken Tales from the World Anvil. And of course, as I had mentioned, I will have a review of Broken Tales in the not too distant future. All right. That's it for this time out. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. Will not only let you know when I share videos such as this first look, it'll also inform you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube. Of course, when you're not watching videos here on the channel, be sure to visit gaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you're not going to find on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. And until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.